Hey guys, it's Megan. Welcome back to another video. You may notice that I am not in my library today. I'm actually in another library in my school district. We have two high schools, and this is the other one. This is where my husband works. We were here anyway, and I thought, I'll film in a different library. I know it's kind of echoey, so I apologize for that. But today I want to tell you guys about the 5 books that I really love to teach, and 5 books that I really kind of hated, never want to see them ever again. So I thought what we would do is actually count upwards, because I usually count backwards for things, and I feel like I just want to get right to the point. I want to talk first about my favorite books, and I'm going to do number 1 first. So my number 1 favorite book of all time to teach is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And this was originally written in, I believe it was Portuguese. It's been translated into many, many languages. It is so inspiring. I've talked about it in another video before as one of the books that changed my life. It is a magical realism novel. So if you don't like those kind of novels, you might think that this is not for you, but it is amazing and everyone can get some sort of lesson out of it. It's almost like a fable, like there's sort of talking things in it that shouldn't talk, and kind of like parts of nature basically. And it's so inspiring. I love reading it. The kids always love it. I really honestly have to say I don't have a student who's ever said that they hated this book, unless they just hate reading in general. But most of them say that in some way, shape, or form it changed their lives. It makes them want to go find their personal legend, which is what this book is about a boy finding his personal legend, which is like the thing you were born to do basically, and that everyone knows what it is. It's just a lot of people don't achieve it. Now, the rest of these are in no particular order, but the next book that I really do love to teach is 1984 by George Orwell. This is my really, really old copy, and I've marked it up, annotated it, all the years that I've taught it. I've taught this for 5 or 6 years now in my English 101 class that I teach, dual credit to our high school seniors, and I love it because I feel like it is so applicable to modern times, and you hear a lot of references from this book, like newspeak or doublethink or thought crime. Like, you'll hear these words in our society. So it's nice to have read the book so that you know what they're talking about, or when somebody says we live in an Orwellian society, and that way, hey, if you've read it, you know what they're talking about. So I love the futuristic aspect. A lot of people don't like the ending. I love the ending. I think it's the only way this book could have ended, and the students usually either love it or hate it. But for me, it's one of my favorite books to teach. So the next one of my favorite books to teach is another classic, and it is Frankenstein. This copy is even more beat up and older than the other one. I've had this one since I was in 10th grade, and I've also annotated and marked up this copy as well, because this one is the one that I teach out of, because I use this one for English 102. In fact, my class right now is actually reading this book. I have seniors taking English 102, and this is the book we are currently in the middle of. So Frankenstein's not what a lot of people think it is. A lot of people think it's a, bumbling monster who's like, no, it's not. He's actually not a monster. I would call him a creature. And his name is not Frankenstein. A lot of people think that, of course. Victor is named Frankenstein, the creator of the creature. And we always debate who the actual monster in this book is. Is it the creature? Is it Victor himself? Is it society? Is it some combination of these things? So that's always really fun. But a lot of people just think it's a horror story. But it's not a horror story because the monster's scary. It's more a horror story about kind of the price of progress, that, forbidden knowledge, you might have to pay consequences for something like that. So I love this book. I love to teach it. Students like it, except for the fact that it is pretty hard to read, and sometimes it really throws them off with the vocabulary. It's kind of hard to understand, but at least it's short. So my next favorite book to teach is To Kill a Mockingbird. One reason I think it is, not only, of course, do I love the book, but I always think of the end of the school year, because it was always the last book that I taught when I taught junior English. So I think of summer is coming. I remember I had a window air conditioner in my classroom, and it got super hot, and we would be trying to power through and read this like 7th period, which was our last period of the day. And it's just, we're all burning up, and we're trying to stay awake, and we're sweating, and we're reading To Kill a Mockingbird. And then we got central air conditioning. This was at my previous school. But yes, let me see. Oh, it smells so good. Oh, I love it. Okay. Anyway, I think I've had this copy since high school as well. So I annotate these, mark them up, all that good stuff. And To Kill a Mockingbird, of course, is just a traditional classic that most people have read. I feel like if, they're assigned it in high school, that kind of thing. And it never goes out of style. The movie's also really, really great. It's one of those that I think the movie is just as good as the book. And my last book that I love to teach is actually a play, and surprisingly, it's Shakespeare. I used to hate Shakespeare when I was in school because I didn't understand it. but now I love Hamlet. Hamlet is so fun to teach. It is a very long play. I believe it's Shakespeare's longest play. I'll have to look it up. I'm pretty sure it is. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've taught it, but this book, ooh, this one's brand new. It smells different. I love these little no fear versions too, because they, you know, they translate the original text and then the modern day translation. But Hamlet is so much fun. Kids always think that Shakespeare is boring. Hamlet's full of murder and just, you know, crazy things happening basically. So at the end of every unit when we do Hamlet every year is we watch The Lion King, because it is based on Hamlet. And we do a little compare and contrast essay, so it's always a lot of fun. So I love teaching Hamlet. So I want to go ahead and tell you about 5 books that I really don't like to teach, and these were mostly ones I was assigned to teach. I didn't choose these. The first one is actually The Hunger Games, surprisingly, right? I know. But I had to teach this to 9th graders at my previous school, and I only did it 1 year, I believe, because, well, even though the kids liked it, I didn't feel like there was honestly enough to discuss. I felt like maybe the text was too easy for 9th graders. You just couldn't stop and discuss anything happening, because it was like, okay, well, this happened. There's nothing really to analyze. With these other classics, you can talk about the themes or symbolism or literary devices the author uses or things like that, but those were not really present in The Hunger Games. So I just didn't enjoy actually teaching it. Didn't really enjoy reading it either, but The next one I didn't like teaching was when I did student teaching, I had to do Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. I loved the movie growing up as a kid. I wouldn't say loved. I mean, I liked it. It was fine. It was a Disney movie. But when I had to read the book and teach it, reading the book was one thing. Teaching it was something else. I just didn't feel like 9th graders could get enough out of this book. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't design the lessons very well because I was a student teacher. Maybe if I did it again today, I would notice a difference. Maybe there would be more to discuss. But to me, it was very strange to have to teach this. The next one I hate teaching is a Shakespeare play. So I love teaching Hamlet. I hated Julius Caesar. So this is the one that was actually in the 10th grade textbook. So my first year of teaching 10th grade English, which was my first year at the last school I was at, I did Julius Caesar because it was in the book. And then I realized I hated it. So then I started doing Hamlet. Then I started giving kids the choice. We would vote, all my sections of junior English or sophomore English would vote, and we picked, usually every year they picked Hamlet, but one year they did pick Julius Caesar. And I was like, oh man, I hate that one. But to me, it's just, I know it's a lot more based on history, and I just like more the fictional aspect of Hamlet rather than the historical aspect of Julius Caesar. I like all the murder and, backstabbing and things like that in Hamlet. But in Julius Caesar, it's just pretty cut and dry. It's pretty straightforward. Most students already know what happened to Julius Caesar, so it's not even like a surprise, basically. The other 2 books I don't have a copy of here, but one of them was The Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin. It was a very strange fantasy novel. I honestly don't remember anything about it except that during student teaching I had to teach it and I hated it. That's pretty much it. The last one that I did not like teaching was, once again, my first year at my last school. It was just one of the things that we had copies of that the previous teacher had taught, and that is A Separate Peace by, I believe his name was John Knowles. I know his last name is Knowles. I think it's John. I actually liked it when I read it in 10th grade when I was in school, but I don't know what happened. For some reason, having to teach it, I think it's because the kids just really, really did not like it. I had some interesting classes that year, and I think it was partly that they were just so not into it. So like I said, I kind of liked it when I read it back in the day, but trying to teach it to students who did not want to learn it was, or did not want to read it was not fun. So those are some books I really enjoy teaching and some books I do not enjoy teaching. It's been great being able to choose now what books I want to teach. I've learned that really when I can do that, I'm more interested in the books, and therefore the kids are more interested in the books. So that's, I guess, the lesson I can take away from this. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.